What I love about your story is how you were able to preserve the integrity of these core principles and ideas. Put something out there that is of beautiful service to the world, taking children to exactly where they should be, 90% the child and 10% the toy, and yet make it also a commercial success.
Yeah.
It's a dream for most entrepreneurs. So along the way, you must have faced certain skeptics, certain barriers, certain dead ends where people were rolling their eyes and saying, no, this toy is not rich enough. It's not stimulating enough, or,
Yep.
something. And so how did you and Doug override those moments?
That's an amazing question. And by the way, we have an entrepreneurs program at Duke University, and we mentor hundreds of entrepreneurs every year. So,
wonderful.
So
that's your alma mater, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. This is an amazing question. So the only way you turn off the clamor of the outside world is to always go back to your heart and your soul and the reason you're doing it. And I think the only reason Doug and I are still growing, Melissa and Doug, after 30, we're in our 34th year, is because we never lost sight of the reason we were doing it. And every time I create a toy, I go back to that place of expansiveness. I go back into my imagination, and my only goal is to unleash a sense of joy in children through catalyzing their imagination. And that's the only reason we're doing it. So if you have those core principles front and center, we never did it for money. We wouldn't have started a toy company in 1988 if we wanted to do it for money. That was like the investment banking boom. But we never did it for money. We never did it for like the licensing opportunities or any of that shiny stuff. We did it because we wanted to impact children's lives and allow them to see the extraordinary in the ordinary through unleashing their imaginations. So every time we were presented with like a shiny gold thing, like we can partner with this, we can get into this category, it was like you're on your path, right? You know what made you successful. And then everybody's like wiggling, dangling these lures in front of you, like, come over here, get off your path. And you're like enticed. You stop for a minute. You're like, should we go over there? Should we go over there? But then you have to breathe. It's literally like an exercise in mindfulness. And you have to say, why am I doing this? And you have to remember your core tenets, which you should write right in front of you. And then you say, nope, is that unleashing imagination in a child? Is that giving a child the gift of open-ended play? Is that sparking something in that child that will lead to their life passion or purpose? Nope. We're not going to go there. And, we became really good at saying no, because we said no a lot more often than we said yes. And we started to disappoint a lot of people, by saying like, no, we're not going to go there. We're going to go this way. And we got a lot of questioning. We got a lot of people like whispering, like they're not doing what they should do. But you know what? It led to a purity that we really needed. And I can share another really cool story too, if you want.
Oh, please do.
So, I am a white space product innovator, meaning I don't really use a lot of outside data at all. I don't subscribe to the traditional MPD data, the market insights. I don't look at trends. I don't do anything. I don't look at fads. I literally do it from my own experience, having 6 children, going out in the market. It's not like I love to get absorbed like stimuli, but then I let those pots simmer, right? And some of those, sometimes I combine one pot and another, and until they boil over, like I don't do it. So we had an analyst come in, a McKinsey Harvard analyst, and he decided to calculate how successful I was in my product innovations. And he studied the prior 3 years. And he calculated that I was only 40% successful, meaning more than half the time, 60% of the time, my new products failed. And he decided that his goal was to make me more successful, because if we could get that 40% up to 80%, Melissa and Doug would be a lot more successful. And the only way he thought we could do it was by fewer, bigger bets and more consumer insight. And that would sort of change it. And this was one of the most horrifying experiences of my life, because as a white space creator, I believe in planting as many seeds as humanly possible. And I believe you can never know success ahead of time. You can get all the consumer insights you want. You can study data. You can look at what's been done. But if you're innovating, if you're creating something that's never been done, how the heck are you going to be able to know if it's going to be successful? You're not until it's in the marketplace. So my philosophy has always been like plant as many seeds as possible, give them fertilizer, water them, give them sunlight, and then watch, and be patient and see which grow. And the ones that grow, you give more water, more fertilizer. The ones that don't, you go, darn, I don't get it. Why are you just a pile of dirt still? But that's the essence of product innovation. So I think it was a really tough time because it really pitted me against the mainstream in our company. Are you going to allow just plain innovation to rule it, knowing that your failure rate's going to be greater, but you're going to have a higher likelihood, in my opinion, of the successes, sort of allowing yourself to be open to trying just about anything and not being terrified of the failure. So I love the fact, and I tell people all the time, that I fail more than I succeed, but that still led to a $600+ million company right now that's growing every year.
There's just so much of genius, in the story you've shared and the principles you've espoused. I'm so happy that you're doing this program at Duke. I wish even more people on the entrepreneurial path can hear you share the story. I relate to it very much. In my case, my craft is, developing a model for life and for leadership, and integrating into that, the deeper spiritual principles that I've had a deep appreciation and respect for in the world, and all of that. And oftentimes in that process, in that journey, I've had people come to me, Hitendra, you should read that book, or you should, read that report. And I'm like, smiling, but then in my mind saying, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yes.
I'm not going to do that because it'll infiltrate the purity or whatever it is I'm trying to create from within. And yes, there's an integration, like you said, of various conversations I've had with people, or things I've read in the news, or the experiences I've had in the classroom. But finally, you have to just get into that inner space, isn't it? And from there, something has to emerge, which is really integral to who you are. So I could experience a little bit of that, in the way that you have described, your very successful creative endeavor. And yes, like you're saying, it still is a bunch of experiments that leads to some amount of reality checks from the outside, and then you use that to refine it. How beautiful. Well, what an amazing model to offer to all of us. Thank you, Melissa. And it's so great to see it validated with all the success that you've seen as well in the world. If I hear you correctly, there's a certain ethos almost of non-attachment to outcome that I see there, where kind of success comes to those who are actually not chasing success.
Because we love the act of what we're doing. For me, it's my salvation is the channeling, right? And the creating that toy, and the belief that that toy might have the ability to change the trajectory of a child's life. So every toy I create, or every product I create, or every verse I create, I'm going back to that same place. It's the exact same feeling. I'm conceiving for the very first time. It's not I don't ever think about the ones I've made before it. I don't think about what's happening tomorrow. I am so in the flow of just connecting to that sense of purpose and channeling that. And I've read about Bruce Springsteen, and anyone who really loves what they do. They're doing it because that sense of flow is so profound that they don't want to ever give it up. So I think it's that someone is for real when they're going back to that simplest place, right? The place where it all just starts to gel and flow. That's where the beauty is.